Who's first?
Nick, Tristan McCollum, what have you seen behind the scenes that we might not know about him that kind of helped him get in position to make that play on fourth down?
Well, Tristan's a guy that I think has good talent, good ability to play the position. He's young, inexperienced. I believe as he gets more and more reps, he'll be better and better, which is not rocket science. The more you practice, the more you play, the better you get. And I like his movement. I think he can be a good safety.
You mentioned that youth and inexperience. He's not the only one in the secondary. When you talk about the communication back there, what do you think the keys are getting those guys up to speed to be able to function as a unit in the secondary?
Well, the preparation you put in during the week. I think our secondary coaches, all three of them, do a good job of that. And Bobby's part of that, too. The IOBs are part of that communication, and I think they all do a good job of preparing the players during the week. The more you get to play with one another, the better it gets. It's just repetitions, practice, meeting, repetitions.
In terms of your group being physical and playing fundamentals, was Sunday probably the peak for that this year, would you say?
I don't know. We try and play that way each and every week. Baltimore's really good on offense, and we had to be physical to hang in there with them. But that's our goal every week.
You mentioned last week Isaiah Rodgers was close with Keely Ringo to being the backup behind Slay. What is it about his game that you like?
I think he has good cover ability when he does it right. On occasion, he can get sloppy with his technique, and he pays for it. But I do think he has good talent and good cover ability. And for a guy that's on the small side, weight-wise, he tackles pretty good.
It seems like Jalen's been getting held quite a bit. Is there anything you guys can do to help him get some calls?
I don't know. You got any ideas?
I don't know.
There was one play in particular where he was grossly held and pulled to the ground, and, there was no call. So, yes, and I don't know what we can do about it.
Jordan Davis seems to be playing well when you have him in the five-man front, even in the four-man front against the run, but he hasn't been playing as much since earlier in the season. How do you balance what he can do in that regard to giving him maybe a little more as a pass rusher?
We just try and rotate those guys at that position opposite Jalen, and I think Clint does a good job for the most part of doing that. Jordan's a better run defender than he is a pass rusher at this moment in time. Do think he's getting better, but we just try and rotate those guys.
What do you do to become a better pass rusher?
Just convert quicker, get into his rush quicker. Tends to get high sometimes.
Who do you think has benefited most from the way Jalen has played the last however many weeks it is, Jalen Carter?
Our team.
How about player-wise?
Milt's benefited some. We all have. I mean, he's caused some sacks for other people, by applying the early pressure that makes the quarterback move and buys time for somebody else to get there. But really, our team and our defense has prospered because of his play.
What's the process for in-game adjustments? I'm sorry. What's the process for in-game adjustments? Because we've seen, like the Ravens game this season, where teams drive down early and then they're slow thereafter.
It's a lot of it's we just play better. Are there some adjustments? Yeah. Not adjustments to where we change some. Schematically, adjustments in what we call.
Vic, the defense has really taken off since the bye. What's the biggest discovery or adjustment that was made during that time that helps, that translates to what we're seeing now?
Yeah, I don't think I can put a finger on one thing there to answer that question. It's, we've just played better.
Vic, from what you've seen on tape, where has Bryce Young improved?
Just in the full operation of their offense, I think they've done a good job of coaching him. They have a really good running back in Hubbard. They feature him. And they're running play action and boots off of that run game. So I think they've done a good job in their entire offense of finding out who they are within his quarterback abilities.
Does he ever do anything? Going back to Jalen, are there still moments when you watch him on tape that like he does something that surprises you?
He has very good balance. You know, he can be losing early, get his body in a bad position, but he can recover.
The open field tackle that Cooper DeJean had on Derrick Henry, I mean, obviously he's given up like 40, 50 pounds. I mean, what does it take to make a play like that? And you know, how has he been doing with, I mean, he's been making, it seems like he's been making a lot of those plays this season.
Yeah, it was good technique. Good job of wrapping up. Good job of targeting where to hit him. And it all came together for a really good play.
How do you feel about a three-man rotation?
What's that?
How do you feel about sticking with a three-man rotation at the edge? Is that sustainable, or are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's sustainable. Played a whole year in San Francisco with 3 guys for 16 games. So it's sustainable.
Last week I talked to you about Alex Hunt, if he was ready for those extra reps, and you said, we'll see. You saw, what did you see?
Some good, some not so good. Now he's at the point where he's got to improve and build on that. It's a process. The more you practice, the more you play, you get better, in spite of what Allen Iverson ever said. Okay? So, and some guys, you know, personnel guys around the league, they think, hey, this guy can do it, just throw him in, you know, and they expect him the finished product. You never have the finished product with a young player until they get enough practice time and playing time. So the key will be, how does he improve?
And on the high throw to Mark Andrews when Reed came in, and turned into a long gain there, is he supposed to, is there just kind of a hesitation there for rules, or what would you teach in that moment?
Yeah, he needs to make that play one way or the other. He needs to either pick it off or break it up.
Vic, you just made a Philly reference. Has there been any special satisfaction about having success here this year, because you've always had a special affinity for this place?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys know I grew up a Philadelphia big-time sports fan, so that was a big part of my motivation to come back here. And we tried to do it a couple other times throughout the years, but it never timed out right. And, yeah, it brings back a little satisfaction.
Is that why you favor Kelly Green?
Kelly Green? No, it was hanging in my locker, so I put it on.
Like typically at practice, you're the
Knowing
lone,
the history
you're the
of
lone
what
guy.
you do, is Jalen Carter in making the reference to a lot of people that have been around it for a while, made a Jerome Brown reference. Is that fair in terms of feeling?
You know, I don't ever like to compare people, because at the end of the day, somebody ends up feeling slighted. But he's a damn good player, and he's improving. Just like I said, you know, Jalix has to improve. Jalen's still a young player that needs to improve, and he's been very coachable and playing good football.
At that point, in the opening press conference, you had that line when people were asking limited explosive plays, rushing the quarterback. You said they're all priorities. As you look at a stat sheet after the game, what's for you the biggest indication of how your team performed?
It could look different every game. You know, clumps of statistics over a 17-game schedule can really not tell you a whole lot other than the high goods and the bad lows. You know, it could be, you know, you don't give up explosives and you hang in there. You have a good day on third down to when you finally get them to third down, even though maybe you're playing a little so-so. But when you do get them to third down, you get off. You have a good day in the red zone, even though they're moving it on you, so you can keep it down. I just think every game has its own personality, and I can look at a game sheet and give you that answer, but season-long stats kind of can be skewed.
In this Ravens game, which was the number that you were most proud of?
Well, We had a good day going on third down, which was key. We didn't even get him to third down only once on the first 2 drives, I believe. But, and, you know, we didn't give up the huge explosive play until that last drive, which was disappointing, that long run by the quarterback. You know, so that was part of it. You know, and we hung in there.
You mentioned Jalen being coachable. How does that show up?
In his technique and in his play.
Brooks, I got to bring you Kellen. I just said last one.
He's the boss.